Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I have just had the weirdest morning so far. Like, just doing my makeup, weird stuff happening. I was trying out a new blush. It was way more than I bargained for, and I had trouble correcting that. Used some dark lash glue, and that created a whole mess that I had to correct. And then I'm setting up my lights, and I just like took the end of my cord and the plug came up and whipped me like right in the forehead. So it's just been kind of a mess today. But I bring you a video from my top makeup drawer where I've done some videos on this before where I've shopped my stash for different items, things I maybe haven't been using so much, or some new things that I just want to make a point to use. And I'll put them in that top drawer because then I know they have a place, I know where to look for them, and they won't be overlooked. Well, this month I thought I would do it all about palettes because, I mean, I'm getting inundated with new palettes that are coming out, and the more I try new palettes, the more I feel bad for the palettes that have been sitting around and haven't ever really gotten enough use. Maybe they've been reviewed once or talked about here or there, and then just kind of set aside. So I pulled out some palettes that I felt like using now, both for eyes and for face. And what I'm going to do is throughout the rest of the month, I'm going to make a point to use these. Those probably won't be the only things that I use because I do have other things that I want to test and review. But when I am using them, I will make a point to tell you on like Snapchat or Instagram. I'll just kind of make note of what I've used so you can see those products back in action. So let's bust into the drawer and see what I chose. So here it is. This is the top makeup drawer, and I want to tell you real quickly about the organizer that I stuck in here. I used to have some smaller organizers, which I'll probably go back to if I'm putting smaller products in here. But for the palettes, this really accommodates them nicely. This is from IKEA, and it actually came from their kitchen department. So it was extra cheap. It was just a couple of bucks for this nice big plastic organizer. It does slide back to the corner of the drawer, and it leaves you about this much extra along the outside. So I've kind of got it scooted forward so I can more easily make use out of the back sections, but just wanted to let you know that's how that fits in there. It just happens to really work well for these Alex drawers that are the longer or wider ones. But starting off with the face products, I've tried to pull some different things just of various purposes and consistencies, and these are the Makeup Forever contour kits, and they've got blushes, and each of them, as you can tell if you look closely, they've got different tones of contour in there. So I am planning to get some more use out of those. Also for Makeup Revolution, this is called the Protection Palette. I have it in light medium, and what this has is several concealers, a powder, and then a bronzer, blush, and highlight. So a lot of face stuff in one, and I really did enjoy this palette for the brief time that I used it, so I wanted to make sure I used it again. And then I've also got these little cream palettes that I put together from Mascara. Mascara is a blogger, well, Kara is the blogger, and she has this 3D foundation system. I've talked about this in the past, and it's a really cool selection of cream products. You got contours, concealer type products, which I love, and then a blush, a more illuminating product, and I have bought like an additional selection of those shades because I enjoyed these so much, so I pulled both of those palettes out. Then this is the Ulta Contour Kit. Barely got any use out of that. It's got contour shades and highlight shades. My Anastasia Contour Kit, I'm sure you guys have seen this many times over on YouTube. I've used it some, but I can't say I've really bonded with this product a whole lot, so I got that out again. And then for highlighting palettes, this NYX Strobe of Genius. I thought this would be so much fun to start using again, and e.l.f.'s Illuminating palette. These seem to be more soft and subtle highlights, and I loved it right when I got it, but you don't need me to tell you that there are like 1,000,001 highlights on the market, and stuff can go overlooked, so I don't want it to go overlooked anymore. e.l.f. has some phenomenal blush palettes, but I haven't gotten as much use out of my dark toned, richer palettes that they offer, so I've got the powders here and the creams here, and I really want to make a point to play with these shades. I know I don't have dark skin, but I still think they're going to be very usable. This is my Makeup Revolution blush palette in Hot Spice, so there's kind of a cooler one that's got a little more pinky tones. Things go a bit more peach in this palette. I love it. It's got highlights in there as well. And then in the barely used category, I've got these Ulta Sculpting palettes, so you can see blush, bronzer, highlight. Can't wait to use those. Now on the eye side, I pulled a lot of different palettes. I just wanted to give myself a lot of variety, and I was just running into so many things that I wanted to use more of. One of them is this Makeup Revolution Salvation palette. This is the Unicorns Unite. Yes, definitely want to use it more. I think there's a fun little color variety happening in here, particularly if you enjoy the purple tones. Now, something super subtle and natural is this Lorac Nude Necessities palette. Now, I did review this on this channel, and I remember thinking at the start, like, is this world's most boring palette? But it truly is a great, like, natural mix of matte and shimmer eye contour palette almost. You know, it just gives that really natural look, and I do like that on certain days. Now, this palette is, I believe, by Makeup Revolution. You have to get it on Makeup Revolution's site, but my girl Erica hooked me up with this, and it's called the Chocolate Vice palette, and it's kind of Makeup Revolution's take on the Sweet Peach palette from Too Faced, and I just have not had a chance to bond with this thing yet, so I really want to make a point to use that. And then I saw a random Instagram post referencing this Too Faced Love palette. It was a really gorgeous look, and I thought, I have that palette, and I really want to use it some more. It's definitely got some of that Too Faced sparkle going on in here, but I think there are some potentially beautiful fall looks that I can get out of this palette, so I'm eager to use this some more. And with fall in mind, I pulled out my BH Cosmetics Carli Bybel palette. This is an eyeshadow and highlight palette, and I think this is just a really good collaboration that happened here because the shadows are great quality, so are the highlights. It's really nice pigmentation. It's great for those of you who like neutrals and mauve type colors. It's really beautiful, and it's just a great price as well. This is very affordable. I think you can get it on Ulta's website now, so yay for that. And on the less affordable side, this is my MAC Warm Neutrals. Is that what it was called for sure? Yeah, it's the Eyeshadow x15 Warm Neutral palette. So this was a pre-made palette, and I did some looks that I absolutely adored with this thing, and then it just kind of got moved to the back of the class for whatever reason. But there's some gorgeous shades that exist in MAC's regular line that are in this palette, so I am pumped to use that some more. Okay, see if you remember this guy, because I think this palette had like the shortest lifespan ever. It's the Sephora Pantone Universe Facets of Marsala palette, I believe it was called, and I did a look with this. I talked about it in a video. If this palette is not fall, I don't know what is. All of the gorgeous reds, the different takes on that Marsala wine type color, and then you've got olive greens, golds, great shades to complement those tones, and the quality on this is really good. But this palette was not around very long, so I really wanted to pull that out again. And finally, from Urban Decay, this is the Vice 4 palette, and I just have not bonded with this one nearly enough. I know you've heard me say that phrase a few times in this video, but it's the truth. You know, some palettes you just use over and over again and you really enjoy, and then there are others that you dip into a couple times and they just don't really stick with you. This one, I mean, I really do see the potential here for me to love this. I just need to really dig into it, try some of the different color combinations. That green is speaking to me. I'm loving these orangey tones right here, and also what's happening on this side of the palette too. I think some soft lavender looks are definitely going to happen with this palette. And then I've got some skinny palettes over here on the side. My City Color Harvest Moon eyeshadow palette, filled with gorgeous, not just neutrals, but some peachy shades, a really pretty berry color in there. I know I loved this palette when I first used it and swatched it out, so I wanted to use it more. This is one of Mally's City Chick palettes, and it's the Loving Life color selection here. That's a base on the one side, and then you've got this beautiful color selection here with plums and bronze and peach and even a random mint green thrown in, and I just loved this when it first came out. Also, let's talk about the Balms Nude Dude palette for a second. I had such a love for the Nude Tude palette, and then this one came out, and I just know I didn't use it nearly as much as I did that other one, and it's definitely got some great shadows in here. A lot of neutrals. There are a lot of neutral palettes that I pulled out, but a lot of those were things that weren't getting used. Also, I am testing some of my brighter more Juvia's Place palettes, and those are just kind of off the charts colorful. So it doesn't hurt to pull out some of these neutral palettes. And how hilarious is the packaging? I mean, I love that. Last few things here. This is from L'Oreal. I had done a review on La Palette Nude 1 and 2, and I wasn't really over the moon for these palettes, but I did like the 2, which went a little more plummy. I like the 2 a little bit better than the 1. Just quality-wise, pigmentation-wise, I thought it was better, so I pulled that out to use again. And then from Kat Von D, much loved products here, her Shade and Light Eye Quads. So she's got that great, fully neutral Shade and Light eye palette, and then she branched off and did some different tones in the quads. And I loved and probably used the most of my smoky one and the plum one. And this one was probably the one in my review, you might recall, that I liked the least. So I kind of wanted to challenge myself to make that work and maybe pull in a fun shimmery green and get some good fall olive looks with that. And this one just screams fall to me as well. And lastly here, I'm pulling out my Buxom eyeshadow palette. This was the one where I customized and put in whatever shades that I wanted. And I have been using this on and off, you know, fairly recently, but I was considering getting a couple of different shadows. So I wanted to play with this some more and consider, you know, what kinds of other colors I might want to throw into this. Kind of amazing how so many of those palettes aren't really old, so to speak. You know, they haven't all been around that long, but they're just things that have been underused in my collection. So I would love to know in the comments section if you are inspired to do this throughout the rest of the month with me. What kinds of palettes would you pull out of your stash that you feel like would be a rediscovered gem in your collection, or just something that hadn't been used a lot before that you'd like to get back to again? Let me know in the comments section. I would love to hear, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.